Hello, I am back with my friend Graham from Voltage. You're going to be a speaker here tomorrow, correct?
Yes, that is right.
Tell us a little bit about your business and what you do.
Yeah, so I run a company called Voltage.
And joining me now is Graham Krizek. He's founder and CEO at Voltage.
What we do is we help companies integrate Bitcoin for as a method of payment. So we mainly use the Lightning Network to move Bitcoin faster and cheaper than moving it on chain or via any other method inside of the crypto ecosystem. So ultimately, helping drive the story around making it easier for Bitcoin to be used for its original purpose, which is payments and being able to do cross-border and all the different things. And so we help companies integrate that to just make it easier and faster to actually integrate it into your products and services.
So tell me, when did you first get into Bitcoin?
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you been in it?
I got into Bitcoin in 2012,
Okay.
so I've been around for a while, and I was fascinated by it from the technology. So back then it was, under $5, and I just had no thought about the economics of it, the fixed supply and all those things that make it so great. I was just fascinated by this global peer-to-peer payment system that, you can send money from here to France, instantly, and do it without any intermediaries. And so I was fascinated by that.
At what point did you decide you wanted to develop a business or get involved in the level that you're at now?
Yeah, I started by solving my own problem first. As I was developing applications on top of Bitcoin, it was really hard, really challenging. You hit just problem after problem. You had to kind of start from scratch every single time. And I just wanted a solution where you could really easily plug it in and start building your application and not have to worry about all the nitty-gritty details all the time. And so I built it for myself. Some of my friends liked it, got more and more customers, and it just kind of exploded from there. So it's just trying to make it easier by solving my own problem.
So were you a program developer or developer by nature?
Yes.
Personally?
Yeah.
Okay. And was that before Bitcoin, or did Bitcoin kind of propel that for you?
It was before Bitcoin.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been a software engineer for a while, and that was why I was kind of so fascinated by the technology, is from that tech side of being a software engineer and the possibilities that existed inside of Bitcoin.
And now, since you've been in so long, you've seen the landscape of Bitcoin change dramatically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How does this conference today, how is it in comparison to maybe your first Bitcoin conference?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously exploded much larger. And it's been really awesome to see the industry grow. And really, I mean, the amount of vendors we have here, companies, all these things, and the amount of attendees too. It's really interesting. At this conference specifically, I've heard more people say this is their first Bitcoin conference than I ever have at the other ones. So I think it's really a sentiment of the ecosystem is growing. It's really growing, very, very large. And it's just 9-day difference where we have the Vice President of the United States talking. We had, President Trump, where, he was running for election at the last conference. And so it really legitimizes this compared to the early days where it was a bunch of just, guys and just, not even that many women. It was mainly just guys that were really interested in the technology. Just a 9-day difference, to where we are today.
So now switching gears, we'll go back to stablecoins and payments on Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about stablecoin legislation and what's going on and payments on Bitcoin, how you see those two working together with the legislation going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the things that have been happening inside the legislative side of stablecoins are very good. I mean, ultimately, it's been a lot of gray areas, people kind of operating in kind of the best guess of what they think is okay. And what we need is more clear lines so people can really just thrive in their business and not have to be so worried about, what can happen one way or the other. So that's been super great. And that's where we're seeing, people starting to look at Lightning to issue and run their stable coins, people like Tether that announced earlier this year, because Lightning is the fastest and cheapest way of moving value inside of the entire crypto ecosystem. You can do a payment, settle in less than half of a second for no fees at all. And so there is nothing else that is as fast and cheap as that with the same trust properties that Bitcoin provides. So that's obviously a great mix of the stablecoin use case, which is obviously very used all over the world. And being able to couple that with the best method of moving value, it's going to be a big recipe for success.
Right. Okay. So now we have a lot going on with the USDC. Circle is potentially for sale.
Yeah.
Coinbase or XRP? Who do you want to see getting?
Well, I mean, I guess there's the third option too of them just going public and not being bought by either one, which I think that they might have filed this morning or something. I think that they went that direction, but overall, I think Coinbase makes a lot more sense just logistically because those two are already so tied together. Right. It just makes all the sense in the world for that to kind of, become closer.
So now stable coins on Bitcoin, is that a thing?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like it's become so stablecoins originally started on Bitcoin,
right?
Via the Omni layer protocol. That's where Tether first started. But then the ERC-20 and the Ethereum ecosystem kind of took over because of its Omni layer never really took off, and the Ethereum ecosystem was kind of starting to thrive at that point. So they moved over there. And now we're coming back into Bitcoin with the Taproot Assets protocol that was developed maybe a year or so ago. And that enables you to do asset issuance on top of Bitcoin again. And so that's where we're seeing stablecoins coming back to Bitcoin now, because it gives a lot of assurance from like the trust and security that Bitcoin provides, but then that speed and low fees that I mentioned earlier.
Right. Okay. So now meme coins on Bitcoin. Do you have any dog?
No, I do not. I am Bitcoin only. In that regard, I don't. I think that the Ethereum or Solana or all these other ecosystems are probably the superior way of doing all the meme coin things and whatnot. I think that the only tokens that will be issued on top of Bitcoin outside of just Bitcoin itself is stable coins. We've seen a little bit of exploration like the ordinals and things like that. Those are still around, but they've definitely kind of fallen off a little bit. So I think that from a staying power perspective, I think Bitcoin and stablecoins will be the two that really kind of thrive on the Bitcoin network.
So would Voltage in theory, would runes work on Voltage, or is it strictly just a Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, we're on our infrastructure side of the business. Like, yes, like we run Bitcoin core nodes and all the things you would need to kind of run a project on that. So it's certainly possible. We focus very much on the payment side of things. So like runes and whatnot are not necessarily, they're more on the the collectible NFT, like that kind of side of things. And so
you're the hidden layer that operates in the background.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. The transit system.
Yes.
Okay. So is there anything else you could tell me about Voltage, what your operation does or what your organization does that might help people understand or why they would maybe choose to do business with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so we're a very B2B focused business. So we work with people like exchanges, wallets, neobanks, payment processors. Anyone that's moving any amount of Bitcoin today can do it via our platform faster and cheaper. So have that better experience for their users and also do it and save money, both for themselves as well as their users. And so our system is very, API driven. You plug it in and it just works. So it makes that integration very, very easy. Right. And so anyone that's wanting to do any kind of Bitcoin movement and then also moving into stablecoin movement, you can come to our platform, plug it in really quickly and just be off and running. So I'm very focused on making Bitcoin, the means of the payment system again, like it was originally created for.
Love it. Okay, so one last weird question I have for you. Went to the input-output luncheon yesterday with Charles Hoskinson.
Okay.
Did you hear about ADA doing a layer to be able to scale on it, and like your ADA becomes Bitcoin and your Bitcoin becomes ADA essentially?
I saw a few headlines about it. I didn't look into it deeply, so I don't know a whole lot about that. I'm not sure. That would be it seems like just kind of another way of doing like a swap or a peg in or something like that.
Yeah, from what I gather, it sort of like inserts it into the transaction.
Yeah.
It's so slow, it just immediately I don't know.
Yeah.
Know the Debbie language.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that specific proposal or what they're talking about there, but it'll be interesting to see. I think that's something that we are seeing more. A lot of people coming back to Bitcoin, even like we were talking about stablecoins, same thing with ADA and all of those things there. Everyone's starting to come back to Bitcoin and figure out how they can incorporate it more and more. And so it's kind of has that staying power as like the largest, biggest, longest running cryptocurrency out there.
So there's lots of speculation on Bitcoin price this cycle. Where do you see it going? Just in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a ways to go for this year. I mean, just thinking through the end of the year, I mean, I could see 150, 200 by the end of this year. But I'm also not a big price guy. It's just kind of, finger in the wind. Experience. Yes, yeah, 100%.
Experience in this space, it carries a lot of weight. So
yeah. I mean, I started when it was about less than $5, and so I saw when it ran up to 100 and then dropped to 20, and so I've seen it come and go a lot. But I do think that we have some ways up still.
And what are your thoughts on legislation? Are you pro politics getting involved? Do you feel like that's good for you as a entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's helpful. Ultimately, I mean, I know a lot of people have, mixed opinions on that, but ultimately it helps legitimize the industry and what we're doing. And so it helps, again, kind of gives guidelines on what can be done and how things should be done. And so I think it's ultimately very helpful. And then we're seeing more and more of like the Bitcoin treasury companies, popping up. That's becoming a really popular thing. And so as we just continue to move down that road, I think it's going to be very important to have the cooperation of governments and all of those things. And I know that that's maybe not a totally popular opinion, but like ultimately we need to have that to be able to run our businesses.
Right. Well, great. Yeah. Well, anything else you want to add?
No, I mean anyone that's moving Bitcoin or wants to incorporate it for payments, definitely reach out to us. Would love to be able to help out. And yeah, thank you for the time.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you speak tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks.